Hello everybody and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to a special episode today. I like to do these every few months. It's always a fun time. I always try to just do a laid back, easygoing show where I just talk about the records that I've picked up recently. You know, this is your typical vinyl haul video. It's just a cool way to catalog all the releases that I'm picking up, a great way to share with you what I've been enjoying and hopefully give you guys some recommendations. And a cool way to catalog the things that I've talked about on the channel. Many of these albums that I'll be showing you are ones I've done reviews for, ones that have been behind me on the wall for the past few months, so you'll recognize them if you're long-time viewers of the channel. But it's just a great way to showcase them and to talk a little bit more laid back and be able to give you guys a good episode here. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. I'll try to go through the records fairly quickly because there's a lot of them and I don't want to keep you guys here too long. And so let's get into it. Let's see what I got over the last several months. All right, so I'm moving over to make a little bit of space here so I can showcase the records in this general area. Like I said, these are albums that I've basically gotten over the course of the last 4 months or so, starting in April. So some of these will probably feel a little bit dated at this time, but I want to make sure to include every record that I've gotten since my previous Vinyl Haul episode, which I'll link above for you guys. So here we go. Let's get into some of these records. So first we've got Elder and their album Innate Passage. This is a cool, psych rock, stoner rock with some definite progressive undertones. It's a cool package too. It has like this kind of outer sleeve and, window into the back artwork and a couple different sleeves here that have different covers you can kind of pull in and out and do what you want with. So I thought it was a cool packaging, cool way to showcase the album. This actually came out last year, but I've been liking it more and more throughout time, and so I decided that I finally wanted to pick it up when I saw it available from one of my favorite vendors out there. So really cool record, definitely recommend it to everybody. Next, one of my favorite records of the year so far. It's been on my wall for quite some time. This is Nickel Creek's Celebrants. Not really a prog record, more of a bluegrass record, but I think, it has some progressive elements. Some people have even called it like a progressive folk style album. Really great group, trio of individuals who have just been incredible. Great vocal harmonies, great bluegrass style instrumentation. They're just virtuosos on their instruments, and it's just a fantastic record that I've been loving. Probably placed highly on my year-end list, to be honest, even though I'm a little bit unsure if it should be included because of the fact that it's not prog, and I'm a prog channel, but I think there's enough interesting proggy elements to this to make it worthwhile to point out to you guys. So that's one of my favorites. I finally got this one in. This is Toe Hider's record from last year. I have little to no memory of these memories. Took a while to come this way. I ordered this later last year, but it took a few months to finally get to my doorstep. But it's an incredible album that I really love. That was one of my favorites from last year. It's one single track, and it has so many different genres and styles that it goes through. It's a really fun listen if you haven't heard it yet. And Toe Hider is just an incredible musician. Michael Mills is the main musician who goes under this name of Toe Hider. He's been doing a lot of cool EPs this year as well, so that's a lot of fun. And he plays a lot with Arion in those projects, does a lot of crazy vocal stuff, and he's like a modern day Freddie Mercury. Just an incredible musician who's multi-talented and just does it all. So this is a great record, and really excited to have this one in the collection. Next, we'll have a couple of these, but this is Flower King's Paradox Hotel. Of course, Ryan Stolt has been doing reissues of all the classic Flower Kings records, so it's one that I had to pick up as a massive fan of the band. This is one of my favorite records from them. All of them are favorites, but I really like this. It's a big, sprawling 2-disc set. Probably, I think it's 3 LPs, in fact, but it's a really cool disc. And if you're a fan of Flower Kings and, classics like that, definitely worth your time. So you could see pictures of the band inside. Really cool record. Definitely one to pick up if you're a Flower Kings fanatic like me. Next I have Crown Lands and their album Fearless, another one I gave a review for this year. This is a very Rush-inspired duo, playing some incredible progressive rock music or classic rock as well. They have sometimes a sound similar to Led Zeppelin, not unlike a band like Greta Van Fleet. They just have a really cool retro sound, and I think they're rising stars in the genre. They have a really epic long piece to start the album with, which is very much in the vein of like classic 70s Rush. Really a fantastic duo who play all this music between the two of them. They play it live, even though it sounds like there's much more instruments being played. They're able to pull it off and do a lot, and so they're a really fun, exciting band that I want to mention. Crown Lands, pick up this one. It's really fun. Another album from this year was Ari and Lucason's Supersonic Revolution, throwback retro type album. Basically 70s glam rock, hard rock, really celebrating that style in a very fun way. There's a lot of nods to classics, both in the lyrics and in the sound of the songs. Just a fun ride, nothing like super complex or super groundbreaking, but it's just really fun music to listen to. You could tell the guys are just having a blast playing this music, so definitely a highlight this year and a fun, colorful record that wanted to point out to you guys and showcase. Really fun, cool recommendation here. And then to accompany that one, I wanted to get the latest Ayreon on vinyl. This album actually came out quite a while back. It's one of their albums that came out in 2008, I believe. But as usual with Arjen Lucassen and with Ayreon's works, it's a big sprawling concept record, has many guest singers who are all incredible, great performances on here, and signed by the man himself, so I had to have this one in the collection. I have Into the Electric Castle, I have the Universal Migrator duo, had to have this one. I have The Source as well from when that came out. Really cool album, and just really happy to add it to the collection. Hopefully they come out with The Human Equation as well. That would be another one that I'd be really interested in, but just a fantastic set and with tons of cool stuff. Great lyrics, great story, and a fun album to listen to. So definitely needed to have this one on vinyl. I have here the latest Yes album, Mirror to the Sky. I actually wasn't sure I was going to pick this up, but I was really impressed with it and thought it was even better than The Quest was, their previous album. Really cool to see the band still kicking and still doing some great work. So I'm very high on this album. I know some people are more critical of it, but I think they really knocked it out of the park for what the current iteration of Yes is able to do together. So great Steve Howe influenced guitar lines, great vocal performance by John Davison. The title track is epic, has some great orchestration in it that's just really beautiful, and they're able to rock out. It's a bit more of an energetic album than The Quest was, and it's just a really cool Yes album that I had to include on the list. So there you go, all the band members inside, and just a really cool new album from a great classic prog band, the classic prog band. I've also been picking up these reissues of Steely Dan's albums. I've been interested in Steely Dan and their work. This is the second one that they've done. I believe they did Can't Buy a Thrill before this one, which I own as well. This is Countdown to Ecstasy, one of their classic records from the 70s. And, you can't go wrong with some great Steely Dan music. So this is a really cool record. Had to add it to the collection and excited for it. Really fun stuff. Here we go into an interesting group of records here. Just as a bit of a tease, I've been planning a Genesis album ranking. I believe that's the next big band that I want to cover. And in order to do it, I thought it'd be fun to purchase all of their albums on vinyl. I already had a lot of their classic prog material, which is of course my favorite stuff, but I wanted to get some of their later era stuff, more of the poppy stuff, just to be able to hear it in vinyl as I'm going through and deciding on these rankings. So I picked up Genesis's We Can't Dance. So that one is now in the collection. I know these are probably not favored as much by the prog community, but I think there's some really cool stuff in this period of Genesis. So I wanted to give it a shot and just be more of a completionist with having the whole Genesis collection in vinyl. So I have that one. Got some used ones. That one was newer, still in the wrapping, in fact. But some of these I got used because I thought I could probably find pretty good versions on Discogs. So this is Abacab I have now in my collection. Not a lot of people's favorites, but some interesting stuff on here. I think it's worthy of having in a collection. Also, I have their self-titled one here, Genesis. This is another used record in fairly good condition. I was happy with the condition of these records. This one is a little bit more used, perhaps, but this is their very, very first album from Genesis to Revelation. Wanted this as well to compare. I hadn't heard this before, so I thought it'd be interesting to experience this on vinyl and see the early days of their sound. So that's one that I have. Also, Invisible Touch, another more 80s inspired record here. So that's a cool one. So yeah, just slowly picking up all of the Genesis records. I also have Calling All Stations as well, was another one I picked up to be able to complete the set here. So really cool record, and definitely an interesting one in their catalog. So there you have it. And while I got all these used records, I decided to pick up a couple extras that I didn't have yet in my collection. So I have Big Generator by Yes now in the collection. I know another one that's probably not a favorite for prog fans at least, but I think is really interesting and cool, showcase for Trevor Rabin and that phase of the band. So I decided to pick that one up. And I also picked up Mike Oldfield's Amadon, which I hadn't listened to before, so I thought it would be worth my time to check that one out. Also, because a lot of people cite it as one of his best records, maybe even one of the best prog records, so I wanted to give it its fair shake. Back to some more of the newer records that have been on my wall for quite some time. This is Lars Fredrik Frosli and the album Fire for to Linger. This is one I reviewed. This is the keyboardist of Wobbler, and his solo record has 4 distinct tracks on it that each tell a different tale. It's done in his native language, so hard to understand for us English speakers, but it's a really cool record with some great retro sounds and some great keyboard playing. Really fun time on this record. Great stand-in for whatever Wobbler does in the future, so really cool record. Definitely glad to have it in the collection. Another new album that I've been loving, this is Aukrust and their album The Approbation. This is a really cool record, very much in the style of Porcupine Tree and Opeth. They do a little bit of growling vocals in a couple tracks, but it's not too overwhelming or over the top. It's really well done, and I think they have a great, interesting sound that is going to really put them in the heights of the genre. It's a little, it's a first record, so maybe there's a little bit of rough edges to it, but I think it shows so much promise and so much that they can be doing in the future. So pick up this one if you haven't yet. It's one I reviewed on the channel. Once again, if you want to look up my review, it would be much appreciated. It's a really cool record and well worth your time. So Aukrust, The Approbation. All right, moving on, we have Flying Colours and their live album Third Stage, live in London. This wouldn't have been one I would have picked up, but I saw it on such a great deal that I had to have it. It was super cheap and selling at a discount, and I love Flying Colours. They're one of my favorite groups. The only reason why I wouldn't pick this up is because I don't tend to prefer live albums as much as a lot of people tend to. I'm more of a studio album guy, so I already have all their studio albums on vinyl, so... but this is a great release, and some of their classic tracks done and performed live, so why not? Let's have this recording. Really cool to have this in the collection. Next, I have the Flower Kings and their album, The Sum of No Evil. This is one of my favorite albums from the Flower Kings, the latest in that reissue series, the last one of the reissue series, in fact, that Roine Stolt is doing. A fantastic, underrated album. I think it's one of the best in their whole catalog. Showcases them at the top of their game. Just a really cool collection of songs, a great epic, a great opening track. Just thrilled to have this in the collection. It's always fun to finally pick up something that is one of your favorites, and one that you haven't been able to get on vinyl yet. So that's a cool one, and a really cool... A lot of these are different colored vinyl. I haven't been showcasing it, but this one's cool. It has a cool blue color to it. So you get a cool blue-tinged vinyl, which I think is really fun as well. Next, another new record. This is Big Big Train's Ingenious Devices. Had to have this on vinyl also. This was one I debated about getting, but ended up caving and doing it anyways because it's more of a compilation record of some of their big epic pieces, which I already have in different formats. So I tend to not be a big compilation guy. I like original studio albums like I've been mentioning, but this is so well done that it's worth it anyways because they add a lot of orchestration and they do some new recordings of some of these pieces and it just sounds pristine and fantastic. This is really maybe the best entry point for Big Big Train because it gives you a great smattering of some of their best classic epics and done in such beautiful fashion. It's a beautiful record, definitely a must own for any Big Big Train fan. I'm a huge fan and I think it's a beautiful package and definitely something I cherish in the collection. So ingenious devices, brilliant, Big Big Train. Next I've got Anderson Stolt and the record Invention of Knowledge. This came out a while ago, but this is a new reissue of it, new remixed version I believe from Roine Stolt. Beautiful album, a great collaboration between two of my favorite prog musicians, John Anderson from Yes, of course, and Roine Stolt. This is probably as close as we're going to get to like a very Yes sounding John Anderson album. You know, it's like, sounds like classic Yes, and with John Anderson at the helm. It's just a beautiful record that maybe flew under some people's radar, but it's just classic. Any fan of Yes, any fan of Flower Kings, any fan of John Anderson, any of those things, this is a must-own project, and I'm excited to listen to it finally on vinyl. I think that's going to be a great format for it and a great cool reissue campaign for this one, which flew a little bit under my radar, but I picked it up once I discovered it, and here we are. Great record. As I mentioned Steely Dan before, I picked up Pretzel Logic as well as the next one in their little reissue campaign. So excited to open this one up and give it a spin as well. One of the classics of Steely Dan, one of my favorite records from them. Really excited for that one. I picked this one up at I saw it on Facebook or something. Someone was showcasing that this one was on Amazon for super cheap, and it's an incredible record. This is Toy Matinee. This is Kevin Gilbert's group that really only did this one album and then unfortunately disbanded afterwards. And Kevin Gilbert has unfortunately passed away quite a while ago at a very young age, but he has quite a catalog of incredible music, and this is one of my favorites from him. Early 90s recording, very poppy sounding, but with little prog flourishes to make it more interesting than your standard pop. Beautiful, catchy hooks and just wonderful, well-rendered music. Just a great songwriter, a great talent that was unfortunately taken from us too early, but incredible record. Great one to check out. And then we get into my birthday album haul here for a second. My birthday was actually a couple weeks ago. My wife spoiled me and got me a few records, so I'm going to first showcase the ones that she picked up for me. I was blown away by this. I don't know how she found these records because many of them are more difficult to find, but here's the Flower Kings, Banks of Eden, which I was super excited to have in the collection. I was disappointed when I heard that the reissue campaign was stopping at Some of No Evil because I never was able to pick this one up, and I was hoping that it would be reissued so I'd have an easy way to access it because it's not easily found to be able to purchase, but my wife found it, and here we have it. So this is one of my... I keep saying it because they're all my favorites, but this is another one of my favorite Flower Kings records. A little bit of a comeback album after a little bit of a hiatus after Some of No Evil, and just an incredible epic. Great album, great songs, and thrilled to have it on vinyl. My wife also picked up this Spocksbeard record, Brief Nocturnes and Dreamless Sleep, one of my favorites from the newer Ted Leonard era, so I really love this album. This was a thrill to receive on vinyl, one of my favorites. Just a beautiful record. You could see the band there. You could see the track listing in the back. Just really cool artwork. And to take it to the next level, my wife found it on this beautiful blue-colored vinyl as well, which just really fits the artwork perfectly. And to find the record at all and to find it in a colored version, I'm just blown away that she was able to find this cool version of one of my favorite records. So kudos to my wife, who just knocked it out of the park this year in terms of birthday gifts. Just thank you to Jana. She's incredible, as many of you already know. She also picked up another Spocksbeard record, The Oblivion Particle, which I have now in the collection. The next album after Brief Nocturnes, which features Ted Leonard on vocals. A bit of an underrated album. This is really a classic also. I like all the Ted Leonard albums. I think he's an incredible addition to the band and just revitalized them in such an exciting way. I hope they continue and make records beyond Noise Floor, which came out a few years ago now. And then to continue the streak here, Flower King's Desolation Rose. This is another one that I hoped would be reissued by Roina Stolt, but it seems like it's not going to happen. So my wife found me a copy of it, even though it's a little bit hard to find now. Really excited to have this one and to officially complete my Flower Kings collection. I have now all of the Flower Kings studio albums on vinyl. Really excited to have this as part of the collection as well. And she also picked up for me less prog, but another album that I really have loved this year, Foo Fighters' new album. I really enjoy it. It just looks like a big white blank page here, but there's a little bit of nuanced artwork there. But Here We Are is the name of the record, and a really cool rock record from the Foo Fighters. I think it's a really great album. Has an extended track called The Teacher. It's a bit of a interesting album because it's the first after the passing of their drummer, Taylor Hawkins, so it's a little bit of a sentimental album, and I think they just really did an incredible job. If you're a Foo Fighters fan, this is a really great one to pick up. Getting into, here's a big box set that I got recently in the mail that I was super excited for. Another album that I've covered on the channel recently. One that's hard to find, but I have my box set of it, The Chronicles of Father Robin, The Songs and Tales of Eroia. Beautiful box, just with so much cool stuff. This is a fantasy-inspired 3-disc, concept record, exclusive from the band, super expensive, but worth every penny. I'm gonna showcase a little bit of what's in the box set here for you guys. So we've got a certificate of membership to the club. It's actually to my wife because I intend to ship all of this stuff to my wife's work because it's more reliable and we're not home as often during the day. So I found that a little funny that my wife gets the nod there. Great big fantasy inspired map is in here as well. I won't unfold it all the way. Then we get a cool booklet as well for the project, all of the different lyrics and artwork and such. Really beautiful booklet as well. And then you get the actual records themselves, which come in 3 individual sleeves here. This is the first one, book 1, more of the foresty, more earthy type record in beautiful colored vinyl. Each one has its own color to it. As expected, this one has more of a green tinge to it, beautiful color. Really excited to delve into this even further on vinyl. The second one here is more of the water-based album. Another beautiful sleeve here. Great artwork. It's really beautifully constructed. I'm really a big fan. And, of course, as expected, the actual color of the vinyl itself is in a beautiful blue. Just really beautiful coloring. Really beautiful packaging. And then finally, we get into part 3, which looks like this. Part 3, which is more of the air-inspired part of the album, and you get a cool orange-style vinyl for this one. Beautiful. Just one of the greatest packages for prog of the year, I'd say. Just a really beautiful record, and really excited to spin this one on the turntable and to get into it even deeper than I already have. Just a wonderful collection and just super thrilled about it. So thank you guys from Chronicles of Father Robin for this wonderful set. So that is a joy to have here. And then something a little bit different here. For my birthday, the plan was to go to a record store and to kind of shop around a bit, but we were unable to make it. Some things happened at home that we weren't able to go out and do a record store visit and all that kind of stuff. So instead, I decided to hunt around on Discogs and find some cheaper vinyl there and just pick up a bunch of cool classic prog stuff. Some that I've heard before, some that I haven't. And so these are all used records, but fun to showcase because I think you guys will enjoy some of these selections here. We have Rick Wakeman, The Six Wives of Henry VIII, which in my little prog club on YouTube, this seems to be one of the entry records for everybody. Everyone's picking this one up in our little group and enjoying it. So classic solo record from Rick Wakeman that is just fantastic instrumental prog, just really, really well done. I have, speaking of Yes, here's Tormato that I decided to add to the collection. I know a lot of people aren't huge fans of Tormato, probably the last of the classic Yes era, but I really enjoy it, and it's one my parents really love too, so it has a bit of a nostalgic vibe to me. And I had a picture disc version, but I know that's not the best quality vinyl, so I decided to go ahead and spring for this version, which seems like in pretty fair condition, so I thought it'd be fun to pick up. I also have this one that I haven't heard before, actually. I've been wanting to get more into the Moody Blues, so this is In Search of the Lost Chord, which is, I believe, their second album after Days of Future Past, which is one I love, which will be coming up shortly. But yeah, I've been interested to hear the Moody Blues and what they did post Days of Future Past, so I'm excited to get into it and see how I feel about this record. Also, I have a classic Styx record here. This is Pieces of Eight that I thought would be fun to pick up. I have the Grand Illusion, but I thought this would be a cool next step. One of their classic records from the late 70s. Really love it. I picked up this one, Yesterday's, from Yes, which to me is a great collection of some of their early days material, pre-Yes album stuff. To me, I had this collection on CD when I was younger, and I always really loved it. I thought it was really a cool smattering of selections from those first few discs, so I thought it'd be cool to have a vinyl copy because the cover's really cool, the artwork as well, so I thought it was a cool one to pick up at a fairly cheap price. This is one I've been hearing a lot of people talk highly of, is Todd Rundgren's Utopia album, so I decided to pick this one up and give it a try. So that one should be interesting. I know Todd Rundgren and his solo work, but this is something that slipped past me a bit, so I'm excited to give it a shot. I also have a Star Castle. This is a U.S. prog band, sometimes derided a little bit as a Yes clone band, but I've heard good things about some of their material, and I thought since it was available at a fairly cheap option to give a try to Fountains of Light. So excited to give this one a shot and to see what it's all about. So interested in that one. Now, the before mentioned Days of Future Past by the Moody Blues, this is a classic record, one of my favorite records. Just the beautiful orchestration mixed with some of that psychedelic 60s rock stuff is just really a magical combination, and some of the best material from the band for me. I really love this record. A classic. I've heard this before, obviously, but I haven't had it on a physical vinyl yet. This is Tubular Bells from Mike Oldfield. As I showed you before, I have Amadon, so I felt like you gotta have Tubular Bells as well, so I picked this one up also. I thought this would be a fun one to check out also. This is Focus and their album Hamburger Concerto. I really like their track Hocus Pocus, which is a classic from their previous record, but this is a really cool album that I'm excited to delve deeper into on vinyl. Really fun stuff from Focus. Alan Parsons Project is the next one I have here. This is Tales of Imagination and Mystery, I believe it's called, or Tales of Mystery and Imagination. Got a little turned around, but this is a well-regarded album from Alan Parsons. I've heard iRobot, which I really love and enjoy, so I'm thinking this one will be right up my alley as well, so I'm excited to give that one a spin. Classic Dixie Dregs record. This is What If by the band. This is Steve Morse. Classic stuff from this band. Rod Morgenstein. Should be a really cool listen as well. Probably my favorite of the Dixie Dregs records. This is a really great one. Really excited to delve deeper into it. Yes's Going for the One. Similar to Tormato, I had this on like a picture disc version, but I feel like this deserves getting it on its own vinyl. This should be really fun to listen to. One of the best Yes records. Of course, has Awaken and Turn of the Century and all of those classic recordings, so I think this is going to be great in this format. I'm excited to give it a full-on listen and be excited about that. And then finally, a couple of records that are newer that I just barely picked up. I have Seven Impale and their record Summit. This is a Norwegian prog jazz rock group. They are really cool, have this heavier avant-garde style to them, like King Crimson or Vandergraaf Generator, and just have a really cool sound. I thought this was one of the premier records from this year, and so I wanted to add it to the collection. And then finally, I have one last record to showcase. And this one is the latest from Neil Morse. Everyone knows I'm a Neil Morse fanatic, so super thrilled to have this one in the collection. This is his latest record, The Dreamer, Joseph Part 1, signed by the man himself. Great cover art. This is a rock opera about Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, all of that stuff. Really wonderful sounds to it. Really surprised me, is even better than I expected. I expected kind of a continuation of Jesus Christ the Exorcist, but to me this is way better than Jesus Christ the Exorcist. You get all of the lyrics and all that stuff on the inside, so you can follow along with the story, and then it comes in a cool orange style vinyl, which you can see here. Really beautiful color and really fun to have that in the collection. So there you have it. Alright, so that's the latest additions to my vinyl collection. I tried to do it as quickly as possible. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode and found some albums to enjoy there. Let me know in the comments how you feel about any of these albums, or if you want to share some of the latest vinyl that you've collected. I'd be more than happy to hear about it. I'm really grateful for you guys following me and for all of the comments and all of the likes that I've been getting. So thank you guys for your support, and hopefully you guys have a great day and just keep enjoying the music out there. Bye everybody.